Hi guys, this is Leela. Welcome to my channel Leela WebDev. In this video, we will try to learn about the another concept in the dependency injection in Angular 18, that is element injector. So let's try to see in this video how Angular creates the element injector hierarchies and how it providing the services in the component decorator configures them. So now let's try to see Angular injector hierarchy. Let's try to see that one. So here the first one is the implicit creation. Angular automatically creates the element injector hierarchies for each DOM element in the application. So that means in the template, whatever the DOM element, or if you try to add a component in the template, so you will give it something like a DOM element, right? App-root or app-child like that. So for each DOM element in the application, Angular creates an element injector hierarchy. This means that each component, directive and a template has its own associated element injector. That is first one. And the second one is hierarchy structure. How the hierarchy structure will be? The element injector hierarchy structure is structured based on the DOM hierarchy. A parent component element injector is the parent of its child components element injector. So as you already know about this components hierarchy and all those things. So if I try to draw it in the paint so that you will be able to understand it very clearly. So here you will be having a component, and in this component you will be having a multiple components like this. So component 1 and component 2 like this. And this parent component you will be having an element injector. Why? Because every component will have its own element injector. And this component will be having its own element injector, and in this component will be having its own element injector hierarchy. Now the hierarchy, how it will be maintained is, so now this is the parent component and this element injector is the parent to this child element injector. So that means this is called as a child element injector and that one is called as an parent element injector. So that means whatever the child injector it is having, it will inherit the properties and dependencies and all those things from its parent also, just like the inheritance thing. So that is the reason we are trying to explain you that it will inherit the properties from the parent. So this is about the element injector. So how we will be providing the services in a component decorator, let's try to see. So now you will be having a clear understanding about the element injector. And now let's try to see about how we can provide the services in a component director. Why? Because each component will be having its own element injector, right? So now how we will be providing the components in a component decorator. Providers and view providers properties. So here you need to understand about the providers and view providers properties. Don't confuse about the view providers and the providers property. I will try to explain you about these both differences in the upcoming videos. The component decorator has two properties. So whenever you are trying to declare the component thing, if you try to see here in our code, so we will be having, let's go to the app component.ts. So we will be having this component, right? And here you will be having two properties, that is nothing but providers. So if you try to write here, so you will be able to see a providers and also you will be able to see a view providers. So two properties will be there. So that is what I am trying to explain you. So now when you provide a service in the providers or the view providers property, you are telling Angular to create an instance of the service and associate it with the components element injector. So whenever you provide a service in the provider property or view provider property, then Angular will create an instance of that service. So we are telling that Angular to create an instance of the service and add it to the components element injector. For example, let's say that in the test component example you provided, the test service is configured as a provider for the components element injector. This means that an instance of the test service will be created and available injection within the component and its child components also. Why? Because the child components will be inheriting the properties from the parent component, right? So that the test service which is made it available in the parent component, so that service will be made available to the injection within the component and also its child components. That is the thing. So the next concept which we need to learn is the service availability. So why? Because we have created a service in the component directory, right? What is the service availability for this one? Element injector access. The service instance is available through the element injector of the component where it was provided. This means that the component and its child components can access the service using dependency injection. So this is what I have explained you in the earlier. So that means whatever the service you are trying to create in the component, so that component can able to access the service instance and also its child components also can able to access the service using dependency injection. And visibility rules. The visibility of the service to the child components and directives is determined by the resolution rules discussed in the previous section. So now we haven't discussed in this one. So what I want to tell you is that visibility of the service of the child components and directives is determined by the resolution rules, which I will try to explain you in our upcoming videos. So the visibility of the service to the child components, so based on the resolution rules, it will be made available to its child components. In general, a service provided in a parent component are available to its child component unless there are conflicting providers or visibility restrictions. For example, if the child component also have made access to the same service with a different means, then you will be having a conflicting providers. Until and unless visibility restrictions and conflicting providers are not there, means whatever the parent service it is having, the child components also can able to access this one. So the next one comes is the service life cycle. So component destruction. So now what happens when a component is destroyed? What happens to the service instance which has been created in the element injector? The service instance is tied to the life cycle of the component where it was provided. When the component instance is destroyed, the service instance is also destroyed. This ensures that resources are properly managed and prevents the memory leaks. So finally, in summary, what I want to tell you is the Angular creates an element injector hierarchies for each DOM element and providing services in the component directory configures providers for these element injectors. The service instance is then available through the element injector and can be accessed by the component and its child components. The services lifecycle is tied to the component lifecycle, ensuring proper resource management. So this is what about the brief introduction of the element injector. So what is an element injector and how it is provided? So that means now you may be having a clear understanding about the null injector. So null injector means, so this is the topmost injector which doesn't have any services. So if a component has been reached for the service, for the sake of the service to the null injector means either it will throw an error depending on the resolution what you have done, resolution modifiers what you have used it. If you have used optional something like that means then it will return null, or otherwise normally if you don't provide anything means generally in cases it will throw an error if it reaches, the component reaches for a service apply here. And next you will be having an environment injector. Okay, environment injector means, so you will be having the platform related injectors you will be having here like DOM sanitizer, location strategies. So if you are having a router means location strategies, DOM sanitizer. So like this you will be having in this one environment injector, like related to the platform. Okay, so related to the platform, so where the multiple applications can make use of this one. And next you will be having a root injector. Okay, so root injector is nothing but which is, we can also call it as an environment injector also, or otherwise we can, in this environment injector has a special alias name that is called as a root, and this one is made available to the application config instance. So application config instance will create this one and it will be present in the main.ts file. So where when we are trying to bootstrap the application, and this root injector will be created there. So whenever whatever the things you will be having here, so this will be overridden by the platform and all those things. So whatever the instances you are providing, it will be overridden in the root injector. You can override. Then afterwards you will be having the element injector. Okay, element injector means this one is component base or the directory base, so which you are trying to use it. So whenever you are creating a service instance means, then here the element injector will be created. So the hierarchy will be like this. So this is all about the dependency injection hierarchies. Hope you understood about this concept. If you have any doubts or any suggestions, please post the comments below to this video. And if you like this video, please do support me by subscribing to my channel. Thank you.